Get this picture of me on a Saturday morning. Cool breeze, coffee in hand, feeling pretty proud of myself about to finally launch my homemade houseboat onto what I thought was my own quiet little lake, smack in the middle of my property. Nobody around except maybe a couple of nosy ducks and Willie Nelson crooning from my old radio. For about 15 seconds, everything feels perfect, like I've somehow won at life. Then, just as I'm getting ready to set out, I hear this voice slice right through the calm, sharp as broken glass. Get that disgusting thing off our lake. I look up, and there she is, Nancy Braddock, HOA president from 2 neighborhoods over, stomping down the gravel path like she's leading a SWAT team, phone in hand, already threatening to call 911. In that exact moment, I realize my peaceful little dream just got hijacked by a suburban nightmare. The kind only an HOA can cook up. You know what's wild? I bought this land fair and square, triple-checked every line in the paperwork, even had my lawyer Hank crawl through water rights and bylaws to make sure I'd never have to argue with anyone about it. This lake isn't just some mud puddle on the edge of my lot. It's right in the heart of my land, hidden by trees, the kind of spot you picture yourself retiring on, maybe building birdhouses, fishing on slow weekends. Nothing fancy, just simple, honest quiet. But Nancy, man, she's a force of nature, always in other people's business, always itching to remind you she's the one in charge. I'd heard stories from neighbors, how she once got kicked out of her last HOA for waging a one-woman war over lawn flamingos. No joke, she shows up in her little golf cart, HOA badge pinned on like it means something, notebook out, measuring the distance from my dock like she's mapping a crime scene for the FBI. No good morning. No, hey, neighbor, just straight to business. You can't block lake access. This is Pinefield community property. I tried to keep it friendly, showed her the deed, the old land survey, even pointed out the GPS coordinates. Nancy just sniffs, tosses my papers back at me like she's dealing blackjack at a smoky Vegas table, and says, "You're new here, so let me educate you. This is our lake, and you're trespassing." And she promises fines, lawsuits, threats of every shape and size. Honestly, the way she was pacing my lot lines, I half expected her to start prospecting for oil. Let me back up a sec, because I wasn't some rookie walking into this. My dad always said, land with water is land people will fight you for. So when I bought this place, I had Hank check every county record, every dusty old file, searching for anything HOA related that could bite me down the line. And there it was, buried deep in the bylaws. A clause that said if a body of water is fully enclosed within one property, the HOA's got no jurisdiction. Nobody remembered it because nobody had ever stood up to Nancy before. I kept that in my back pocket, just in case. After our first run-in, I figured maybe, just maybe, if I played nice, she'd leave me alone. So I took down my no trespassing sign, just to keep the peace. Nope. Next morning, I wake up to a bright yellow fine taped to my front door, some official-sounding violation, with a blurry photo of my houseboat snapped from behind a bush. Later that day, Nancy blasts out an email to every neighbor, video attached, subject line, "Victory, trespasser yields." I'll be honest, it stung. It was like she was daring me to give up. That's when I realized it was never about a lake. It was about power, about Nancy needing everyone to know she ran the show. Even if she had to bend the truth to do it, she ramped up after that. Bogus violations, said my truck ruined the neighborhood aesthetic, my porch lights caused light pollution, even threatened to call animal control for malicious dog barking. She mounted a new security camera pointing straight at my driveway, started spamming everyone with warnings about outsiders disturbing the peace. Can you imagine living like that? Some mornings I'd wake up wondering if today was the day she'd accuse my mailbox of starting a riot. I came close to packing up and leaving. Figured maybe quiet wasn't worth the drama, but then I started noticing Nancy picking on everyone, not just me. She ticketed a 74-year-old vet down the street for flag etiquette, fined a single mom over the color of her mailbox. Just endless little cruelties, making good people scared to step outside. That's when I knew I couldn't back down, not just for myself, but for the whole block. I called Hank, told him to dig up every record he could. That's when we found it. The original 1964 deed, notarized and sealed, crystal clear. The lake was private, fully out of HOA reach, period. If Nancy wanted a showdown, she was going to get 1.so. I waited for Saturday, hired a crane, and launched my houseboat right in the middle of that lake with half the neighborhood watching. People peeked out from behind fences, some filming on their phones, others just gawking. Nancy barrels down the path, screaming about environmental sabotage, threatening to call the EPA and the police, her voice echoing across the water like a siren. Some kid live-streams her meltdown. One neighbor even brought popcorn. When Deputy Lyman showed up, you could tell it wasn't his first Nancy rodeo. Tall guy, tired eyes, looked at my folder of deeds, surveys, the whole package, and just sighed. He turned to Nancy and said, "Ma'am, this is private property. If you keep calling us out here for nonsense, we'll have to start charging you." The look on her face. If looks could kill, I'd be toast. Neighbors actually started clapping. Yeah, that happened that you'd think that'd be the end, right? Nope. Nancy doubled down, called an emergency HOA meeting, invited everyone, made this wild slideshow about my dangerous boat, arrows pointing at it like it was a nuclear sub or something. The usual suspects complained about property values, safety, but then out of nowhere, old Ray from next door, the quiet guy, used to work for the city, stands up and clears his throat. "I did some digging," he says, "and not only is the lake private, but Nancy's been spending HOA money without board approval." He waves a stack of emails and receipts, and for a second, you could hear a pin drop. That was the plot twist nobody saw coming. Suddenly, all eyes are on Nancy. She looks like she might faint right there on the carpet. The room shifts. Neighbors start asking real questions, pushing back, some even standing up to share stories of her nonsense. When it's my turn, I don't grandstand. I just show the deed, point at the boundary lines, and let the documents speak. Even the folks who'd been wary of me start nodding. Nancy tries to shout me down. "Those are outdated. He's lying." But nobody's buying it anymore. By the end, there's this slow clap, then a real wave of applause, and I realize the whole neighborhood just turned a page. Nancy tries one last Hail Mary, fires off a lawsuit, nasty emails, tries to spin her side online, but the momentum is gone. The board calls a vote. She's out as president by a landslide. A few days later, she packs up and leaves in the middle of the night. No note, no apology, just the sound of her golf cart rattling away in the dark. That next morning, I stand on my porch and watch the sun rise over the lake. For the first time, neighbors are fishing, kids playing by the water, people laughing, air finally clear. This wasn't just a win for me, but for everyone who's ever been bullied by a clipboard. I put up a new sign by the dock, "Private Lake, open to friends." We had a barbecue that lasted until sundown, sharing stories, laughter echoing off the watered, "So here's what I want to know. Do you think I did the right thing standing up to Nancy and her HOA army? Or did I go too far? Ever had a neighbor or a community rule cross the line? Drop your wildest stories in the comments. Tell me whose side you'd be on and whether justice really got served out here in Pinefield. If you like hearing true stories from the wild world of American neighborhoods, hit subscribe, and remember, stay sharp, stay neighborly, and never let a bully tell you what you can and can't do on your own little piece of heaven.